This is a legendary twin turbo engine. This is another legendary twin turbo engine. And this is Subaru's... Wait, no, that's the good Boxer twin turbo. This is Subaru's attempt at making their own twin turbo engine. Yes, Subaru didn't always make single turbo engines for their performance cars. Twin turbos are a great idea. You can keep boost on throughout the power band, and you can brag at car meets that you've got a couple snails under the hood. But in Subaru's case, well, let's say they're just a little less notable compared to the RB26 and 2JZ. On that note, today we'll dive into Subaru's twin turbo engines, the cars they came in, and why two turbos isn't always better than one. Anyways friends, I'm Sep, a car enthusiast making videos for other enthusiasts like yourselves. So feel free to subscribe to my channel to get your weekly dose of car content. When you hear turbo, you think of something powerful and fast. You see countless turbo goods such as vacuums, hair dryers, broilers, blenders, and much more. It's a great marketing keyword that Porsche shares with all of these household items. But real turbos do increase the power and efficiency of an engine. And when you slap on two of them to an engine, oh, you got a recipe for forced induction greatness. So let's quickly talk about twin turbos and their different applications for making more power. Currently, there are three different twin turbo setups used in the automotive world. The first one being the parallel turbo setup, commonly used in bank engines such as V6s, V8s, V10s, so on and so forth. The reason why it's called parallel is because there are two identical turbochargers feeding a bank of cylinders each. This setup offers the least amount of exhaust piping, which results in an efficient use of space in the engine bay. The second setup is the series twin turbo setup, which places two turbochargers quite literally in a series. Typically, a smaller turbocharger sends compressed air into a larger one, which further compresses the air more. This setup is great to minimize turbo lag, as the first turbocharger will pre-charge the second one. However, tuning this setup becomes more tedious, as the boost needs to be carefully dialed in to avoid damage to the second turbocharger. The last setup is the sequential twin turbo. The first turbocharger is smaller and is used at lower engine speeds, and as the revs rise, the second larger turbocharger takes over, or both could work simultaneously under higher engine demand. This setup is popular amongst car manufacturers as it eliminates turbo lag at low RPM, which is great for stop and go traffic. Sequential turbo setups do have a downside. It's the most complex setup and requires the most piping, which complicates things if something go wrong. And of course, this is the setup that Subaru decided to go with. Subaru released their first twin turbo engine in 1993 called the EJ20H, a 2-liter flat-4 sequential twin turbo rated at 247 brake horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque. This engine debuted in the Japanese spec second generation Subaru Legacy GT. The GT was offered either as a 5-door touring or a 4-door sedan. The EJ20H was then replaced with the EJ20R, an updated and more powerful twin-turbo flat-4 rated at 276 brake horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. The EJ20R shares some similarity with the EJ20K STI engine, in that they share the same camshafts, yellow top injectors, and the tendency to spin bearings. But jokes aside, the EJ20R was a fairly smooth engine and was available for the updated Japan-exclusive GTB wagon in a manual configuration, with even more sportier additions such as Bilstein struts, larger brakes, and sway bars. The third generation of the Legacy ushered in the last versions of the Subaru twin-turbo engines, the first of the two being the EJ206, fitted to the automatic cars, pushing around 255 brake horsepower. The manual-only counterpart was the EJ208 with a higher horsepower output at 276. Now, the EJ206 and EJ208 are considered Phase 2 engines, which are the Subaru turbo engines produced from 1998 onwards. Between 1998 and 2003, the Japan spec twin turbo engines were equipped in the following vehicles: the typical GT wagon, the B4 RSK standing for Rally Sport Compressor, the GT VDC, which was an automatic only trim with Subaru's proprietary Vehicle Dynamics Control System, the GTB, which was the enhanced version of the GT wagon. An E-Tune variant was available for the GTB, fitted with a stiffer chassis and longer gearing for improved fuel economy. the Blitzen spec models. This trim was designed in collaboration with Porsche Design and were considered to be the top level luxury sport package from Subaru. It features STI parts but also unique wheels, body kit, and interior. The last twin turbo from Subaru was of course the legacy STI S401, which I saw in person at the STI gallery, so check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. Anyways, the S401 was built and tuned by the STI division, with modified intake and exhaust systems, a hand-built engine, 6-speed manual transmission, quicker steering rack, retuned suspension, Brembo brakes, and aluminum BBS wheels. Now the question is, why did they discontinue the twin turbos? The first reason being, Subaru's twin turbo design could only be equipped in right-hand drive vehicles, because the left side turbo interferes with a few components, such as the brake master cylinder and steering linkage on a left-hand drive vehicle. So Subaru couldn't sell the twin turbo to left-hand drive markets, limiting their sales reach significantly. Secondly, the sequential twin turbo design was more complicated with over double the vacuum lines compared to a single turbo setup. Simply, more complicated engine design results in a more complicated diagnosis process, which is just more time and money for both Subaru and its customer base. But regardless, I do think it's cool Subaru produced a twin turbo car. In high school, one of my friends owned a white B4 RSK, and it was very fast with the turbos complementing each other throughout the power band. On that note, what do you guys think about twin turbo Subarus, and would you own one or import one if you could? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways friends, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Take care.